What's up, everyone? Kellen here with a new series that we're dropping on you here on False Swipe Gaming. Smash Mechanics Explained. You might be wondering what all the hullabaloo is about. After all, aren't all the Smash games basically the same but with more characters and shit? No, absolutely not. That's just wrong. When it comes to breaking down Smash games, the differences between series are enormous. So gigantic that you have entirely different scenes dedicated to each game with minimal crossover. So let's dig into what makes each Smash game so different, all the way from 64 to Ultimate at a point where a lot of the mechanics have been dissected, I guess. Now, let's get started. We'll start with the basics. Most attacks you'll see characters using are aerial attacks. You know, attacks in the air. But why? Almost every aerial in Smash 64 has landing lag. This means that if your character lands in the middle of an aerial attack, they will briefly be stuck in a landing animation. You may have heard of L canceling in Melee to cut this animation in half, but a similar technique exists in 64 called Z canceling, and it's better. Z canceling completely removes that landing animation. By tapping Z before you hit the ground, your character will have absolutely no landing lag. This means you can act right out of an attack. With the inclusion of Z canceling, aerial attacks suddenly become a lot more important. Why waste time doing a laggy Smash attack when you can attack from the air with no lag at all? Pro Smash 64 players are always jumping around the stage with attacks simply because it's not that committal, unless that is you're stuck in the air. The problem is certain characters' jumps go really high. It can be a commitment to stay in the air that long. That is why it is so important to short hop. A short hop is a second type of jump that goes about 1/3 of the height of your normal jump. In 64, it is performed by tapping one of the C buttons really fast. With a short jump height, it's a lot less of a commitment to hop around the stage. Pairing short hop and Z cancel allows you to attack many more times in any given time frame, leading to advanced pressure and combos. Short hopping is a technique that exists in every Smash game to date, and another technique every game has is fast falling, another critical part of making your attacks less committal. By pressing down after you reach the very apex of your jump, you'll fall like a stone, overall reducing the amount of time you spend in the air even further. Since fast falling and short hopping exists in every Smash game, we're only going to mention them in this video. Just remember that they do in fact exist for the other ones. While rapidly attacking in one place is intimidating, it can be predictable to stand in one place on the stage. It's important to mix up your movement. You never want to stand in the same place for too long. That is why it is important to pair short hops and dashes. The problem is that running across the stage is a big commitment. Once your character has committed to a running animation, it is very hard to act out of it. Even turning around after running is a very time-consuming animation. In that time, your opponent has all the time in the world to attack you. That is why it is important to never allow your character to fully run. You want to stick with the very beginning part of your character's running animation, called the initial dash. As long as you stay within your initial dash, you can turn around out of dashing, and this is what we call dash dancing, an elegant name for an elegant technique. You perform dash dancing by simply moving your stick left and right. Dash dancing is a really good way to mix up your movement. Mixing in some dash dances between short hop aerials makes your movement really tricky. Dash dancing is a technique that is broken into many different types of movement. Dashing, turning around, dashing again, and so on. But the simplest component of a dash dance is called a pivot. Instead of dashing back and forth, a pivot is a dash canceled by simply turning around. You perform a pivot by moving your control stick on one direction and flick it in the opposite direction at the end of your initial dash. Notice that at the end of a pivot, your character is standing still. This means that you've just dashed and can now act as if you've never dashed at all. Considering that you can pivot both in the left direction and the right direction, this means that you can advance towards your opponent or back away from your opponent and end cancel your dash into any action in the entire game. This technique exists in other Smash games as well, but it's much harder to pull off. Whereas in 64, you can space around your opponent to your heart's desire, use it for extended combos, and even run up pivot attack. For this reason, pivoting is arguably the single most important technique in all of Smash 64. Now, everything up until now has been focused on movement, positioning, and lessening the time between actions. A good handle on the previous techniques will make you harder to read and thus harder to hit. Inevitably, being hit will eventually happen, however. And there are techniques that exist that will make it harder for your opponent to continue comboing you once they've gotten their first hit. Now it's time to talk about defense. If your defense isn't up to par, that offense won't matter at all. You'll just get bounced around the stage over and over, hit after hit, until death. This is where teching comes in. When your character gets hit into the ground in Smash, they stay stunned on the ground for a bit of time. During this time, your opponent can hit you again, but if you press Z before being mashed into the ground, your character will perform what is known as a tech. Teching eliminates the animation of your character laying on the ground. When being knocked into the ground, teching will allow your character to become actionable again. This particular type of tech is called a tech in place. While certainly better than not teching at all, teching in place over and over again can become predictable. And for this reason, it is important to also use the second type of tech, a tech roll. A tech roll is performed in the same way a normal tech is, by pressing Z before hitting the ground. Except now, by holding a direction, your character will land and immediately roll in the direction that your joystick is facing. By mixing up tech in place, tech roll left, and tech roll right, your opponent will have a really hard time continuing combo strings on you unless they have either incredible reads or amazing reactions. Again, these techniques exist in every single Smash game, and without them, it would be far too easy to kill a character off of one hit. But even with those defensive options, Smash 64 actually has a reputation for being the easiest game in the series to touch of death a character in. You thought melee combos were brutal? Check out some 64 combos, especially the combo contest, which has been leveling up every year since they started running it. Although Japanese Yoshi main Prince has won every edition he's ever attended, and outside of some few, this sort of stuff is exceedingly rare in other Smash games, and that's because of DI, or in Smash 64's case, the lack of it. DI, of course, stands for directional influence, and while in most Smash games that means being able to, well, influence your direction whenever you're hit, in Smash 64, you can only smash DI. I know, it's confusing. Directional influence changes the trajectory of where you're hit, while Smash directional influence changes the position right before. At the high level, this is your most important tool. A skilled opponent will not always give you the chance to tech or tech roll. They will juggle you in the air so that your character never gets a chance to reset the momentum. Thus, Smash DI is the only action you can take to escape. So how do you SDI? By quote-unquote smashing your control stick in a direction at the moment you're hit, your character's position on the stage will slightly move in that direction. And also that's why it's called SDI, not because of the name of the game. Players use the term smashing because you cannot merely be holding the direction you want to go. You have to hit the direction you want to be positioned at the exact moment you're hit. Smash DI is undoubtedly the best defensive technique in the game, and by changing your position upon hit, you can throw off your opponent's ability to continue a combo, and in some cases, you can outright make it impossible for your opponent to finish a combo. And while DI is always performed in the same way, there are dozens of situations that require types of DIs, such as the following specific types. DIing off a platform. Some characters have platform pillar combos. They will knock you up and down repeatedly on a platform, making a pillar out of their movement. Since the space on a platform is limited, even if you tech, you will still be trapped in your opponent's setup. By smash DIing hard left or hard right when you're hit, you can change your position upon hit, and actually DI off the platform, making it impossible for your opponent to finish their string. With this technique, your opponent's pillars of combos will be reduced to pillars of sand. Similarly, you can use smash DI to escape spikes that might send you spiraling down into your death. Many of the characters with access to these moves have reliable setups that allow these spikes to be used off stage. While before we wanted to DI away from the platform to save ourselves, now we want to smash DI towards the stage. In this case, simply hitting the control stick towards the stage was enough to save you an entire stock that might have been eliminated in the blink of an eye. And while smash DI is incredibly useful against strong attacks, it can also be just as paramount at the other end of the spectrum. Since smash DI is performed by hitting your control stick at the exact moment you're hit, moves that have multiple hits have extra DI potential because you can hit it multiple times. By rapidly hitting your stick in one direction during a multi-hit attack, your character will get multiple DI inputs and even be able to escape follow-ups from these moves that will usually trap you. That's a lot of DI, but here's some DI that will really help you not die. Ledge DI and reverse ledge DI. Ledge DI is performed when your character is off the stage trying to recover. Since the side of the stage is actually considered a wall, if you DI into the wall, you'll bounce right off of it. That may look painful, but by bouncing off the stage, your knockback is considerably reduced and you are even given some invincibility. In Smash 64, you can't wall tech, so this is the only way to escape a move that might otherwise kill you. Now the extension of this is of course reverse ledge DI. While the earlier example is of course better than not dying, it also usually results in another recovery attempt that you might have to perform ledge DI on again. Reverse ledge DI bypasses that entirely and can almost always ensure you a wholly safe recovery. Instead of bouncing off a wall, reverse ledge DI actually sends your character back towards the stage. You perform a reverse ledge DI by DIing into the corner of the stage. Ta-da! Safe Mario. The cool thing about reverse ledge DI is that you don't actually have to be off the stage. Even if you are on the stage and are close enough to the corner, you can DI down and into the ledge to survive a massive attack. And And that's all for today. Smash 64 may be the earliest game, but it's by no means lacking in mechanics. You can see here that even the simplest ones make for extremely daunting execution tests, but the results when you pull them off are magical. There are dozens of edge case specific techniques past this, but just these few are enough to change the somewhat clunky game into a frenetic and frenzied storm of inputs, where it's a battle between attacker and defender at every point in the game. That's what makes Smash so interesting, that even when you're getting hit, you can still outplay your opponent. Even with the limited DI compared to the other Smash games, Smash 64 has a wealth of interaction at every moment, and it makes for one of the most razor's edge games out there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Huge shoutouts to KeroKeroppi for outlining the important techniques that we needed to know for Smash 64, and you can follow him on these social media platforms here. And as always, if you liked the video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to False Swipe Gaming for more gaming content. Stay tuned as we go into the sequel to Smash 64, that of course being Smash Bros. Melee. Shoutouts to your patrons for continued support of our videos, and to everyone else watching as well. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.